Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Weaver here in the Blue and Yellow Kitchen in San Diego, California with Microwave Boy on the camera. Today we're making carrot soup from the original Moosewood Cookbook. And yes, this is my very first copy. Not only is it my very first copy, it is my very first cookbook. So today I wanted to do kind of an homage to this cookbook and Mollie Katzen, the author of this cookbook. It's from the Moosewood collective, the Moosewood Co-op in Ithaca, New York. It was originally published, I think, in 1974 as a spiral-bound cookbook locally, and then this paperback copy came out in 1977, and I bought it somewhere shortly thereafter. I primarily remember starting to cook from it once I moved to Chicago in 1982 as a 20-year-old. So we're making, so for those of you who have not seen it, which I don't know how that's possible, but so Mollie is an artist as well, and an illustrator and a designer, and so every single page of this cookbook is hand-drawn, and there was something so incredibly charming about that to me as a young woman who constantly journaled and was in art school and was drawing a lot at the time. And it also kind of encouraged me to write in the pages, so it kind of became my very first cooking journal as well. But somehow I had never made carrot soup until 2 or 3 weeks ago when a chef friend of mine in New York has this cookbook club, and this was the first time it was going to be virtual so I could attend, and it happened to be about Moosewood Cookbook, anything from Moosewood. So I decided, because that's what I had in the house, to make this carrot soup. And one of the things that I talked about briefly with them, so like, here's an example. So there's this little beautiful heart-shaped drawing at the top with carrots making almost kind of a crest. And then Mollie's little drawing underneath it says, "It's the best." And that's a quote from Bugs Bunny. So those were the sorts of things that as a teenager and then in my early 20s, I absolutely adored about this cookbook. So I made a half recipe for the cookbook club, and I made a half recipe today, but I'm going to read you the ingredients because this isn't published anywhere as far as I know. So what you do is you boil, you scrub two pounds of carrots and just roughly chop them up, and then you boil them with 4 cups of water or stock. So I had just made chicken stock in the 2-day process in my slow cooker, which there's a video of that if you want to see that. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, I used a little less, and then 1 medium potato chopped is optional for heartier soup. So that's step 1. So that's cooked and cooled. So you want the vegetables to be fork tender. So the main thing is just I'd say once you bring it to a boil, kind of simmer them until they're fork tender, and then let them cool. Then that goes in the blender, and then in a separate pan, you saute in 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, a cup of chopped onion, 1 to 2 small cloves of garlic crushed, and 1/3 cup of chopped cashews or almonds. So this is where I'm going to show you what, and then she says cook until onions are clear. So I'm going to bring this closer here so you can see. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know why I keep, oh yeah, okay, it's so weird because it's reversed. But so what you want is the onions to be translucent and not be brown. Normally you brown onions, but you want them to be translucent and just sort of gently cooked. They were cooked probably about for 7 or 8 minutes. The other thing about this book was that it really introduced me to whole foods cooking and fresh ingredients, because so of course I knew what carrots were as a teenager. I had no idea what stock was, but obviously I knew what water was, I knew what salt was, I knew what a potato was. Chopped onion, yes, my mother did that all the time. 2 small cloves of crushed garlic. Okay, I had never seen fresh garlic before moving to Chicago. So my mom would have had garlic salt in her cupboard never fresh garlic, not even, I don't even know if you could buy those jars of, did your mom ever have fresh garlic that you can remember, Microwave Boy? Or
garlic
even
salt.
Garlic salt, or
Yeah.
even those jars of like minced garlic that you can buy now. I don't even know if those were available. So I didn't know what that was, but clearly it wasn't garlic salt. And then cashews or almonds, well, of course I knew what those were because we would have mixed nuts at Christmas, but I had never cooked with nuts. I don't even remember my family ever having nuts in any dish. Did you ever have?
Never.
Yeah, never had nuts in dishes. So the idea that you would have nuts in a soup was just sort of mind-blowing to me. Okay, so I had a friend named Michael, who I went to college with, who worked at a co-op grocery called Rainbow Grocery in Chicago. It's not there anymore, but it was really fun back in the early 80s. And so I would bring a list to the store, and Michael would walk me around, and he would show me what everything was. So he would show me what fresh garlic was. He would show me what the raw nuts looked like, because I only had seen them in a can of mixed nuts where they had peanut oil on them, and lots of salt. And things like, my mom would have had buttermilk at home, and we would maybe have yogurt, although even back then I don't even know that there was that much yogurt available. So those are things that just now are so like obvious and basic and were brand new to me, and just kind of, I couldn't even imagine why you would put like heavy cream or buttermilk in soup. Like that just also no like concept. Then the last, so you're adding either a cup of milk, a cup of yogurt or buttermilk, plus a little honey, that's to sweeten that, a half pint of heavy cream, or 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. So if you're following along and you're writing the recipe down, that's the milky part of it. And then she offers you 3 seasoning combinations to choose from. Again, blew my mind, like what, how is that, what are these things? So you could do a teaspoon of fresh grated ginger root sauteed in butter and a dash of sherry. Never would have known what that was. A teaspoon each of thyme, marjoram, and basil. Those would be dried spices. What I chose last time and was delicious was 2 pinches of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of dried mint, and a dash of cinnamon. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys were these little handy dandy guys, which are probably from Williams Sonoma. I'm guessing possibly Crate and Barrel or Servo Tablet, but I don't know. I can't remember if I ordered these or if Microwave Boy, you bought them for me. Sorry.
I think you got those as a gift.
Yeah, okay, so what these are everything smaller than a 1/4 teaspoon, which is actually a 1/4 teaspoon is a tad, did not know that. And then they're lined up so that they're basically a half, each is a half of the one before it. So a dash is 1/8 of a teaspoon, a pinch is 1/16 of a teaspoon, and they go down to smidgen and drop. So if you are someone like me who loves precision instruments, it's my German background, I have a lot of engineers in my family, finding out that things like a dash and a pinch, there's an actual measurement for that, just made me so happy.
I thought a smidgen and a dash were...
Yeah, just like tiny little things with your finger, but it's really nice if you're having a recipe because then you can actually be a little bit more precise. So 2 pinches of nutmeg, a half a teaspoon of dried mint, and a dash of cinnamon. And when I made this 2 weeks ago, did not have dried mint, but I had mint in the garden, so I actually threw it in my dehydrator, and I asked if I would get extra credit from the people for drying my own mint, and they said yes. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to blend this, and we can just kind of see. So what I'm going to do is, now everything has been cooked and sort of mostly cooled, and that just makes it a little bit easier. You're not dealing with hot liquids in the blender. You're going to reheat this at some point. And got I just wanted to show you the slivered almonds. They're already in there. So this is something I do really enjoy buying for recipes like this. So they're almonds that have been blanched and the skin's peeled off, and then they're slivered. So they're raw, but they've got the skin removed. So they've done all the work for you. And in a soup like this, you do want a peeled almond, because the almond skin can be a little bit bitter. So it's just a nicer taste. And again, that was 1/3 of a cup, or raw cashews. So I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to put the seasonings in, and we're going to make a little bit of, actually I'm going to go ahead and put the yogurt in. So what I have is full fat Greek yogurt, so it's very thick, and that's my creamy element. And then what she says is to warm it slowly on the stove. Of course you could use a microwave. I know, Mollie, I'm sorry, I'm sure there was no microwaves in the Moosewood. I'm going to put this back up so you can see the beautiful falling apart, much loved book. And we're just going to blend this.
Can you explain what you're doing there?
Yeah, so this is a high-speed blender called a Vitamix. There's other brands, and the Vitamix is different than those other brands because it has what's called this tamper. And it's very handy for things like this where you're not getting good blending at the bottom, so you can actually stick this thing in there and move it around, but it's designed so it won't hit the blades. And it just allows the blender to not have to work so hard to do the blending, so you don't burn your motor out. Vitamixes are expensive, and I bought this one reconditioned probably 9 years ago. I did a big yard sale to earn enough money to buy this reconditioned and a Cuisinart food processor, because I knew that they would just be really helpful tools. I use this, if not every day, every other day. So it certainly has been a fantastic investment, but a regular blender will work fine. What I would just do is blend the carrots and the onion mixture first and stop and scrape it down so that you're not overworking your blender, then add the other ingredients in. And let me just clear the stuff real quick, and then I'll just pour this out in the bowl and you can see how pretty it is. All right. So, I do think Bugs Bunny would approve of this beautiful, beautiful soup. Look at that. It's such an incredible color. And I did have organic carrots last time I made it. I did not have them this time, but still yummy. It's just delightful. There's, you can taste, first and foremost, you taste carrot. Then you can taste those gently cooked onions. You get that hint, that really velvety quality of the butter. You don't taste the nuts at all. And there's just the hints of, so that's why you do want the precision of these kind of tools. Of course they're not needed, but the precision of them is that, you know, you're not overpowering the soup with the cinnamon or the nutmeg, which are strong flavors, or the mint. There's just these really lovely hints. There's no pepper in this. It's just a beautiful soup that you probably could eat cold as well. And so, you know, 46 years ago, this book came out. They did a 40th anniversary. It's been in print, I think, the entire time that it's been out, which is unheard of in today's world. And Mollie was really my Julia child. You know, I think I saw Julia once or twice on PBS, but she wasn't someone that I really watched or knew about that much. But Mollie was that person for me, and I feel like, oh, I'm going to get choked up. I got to meet her a couple years ago at a food conference. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I was not expecting this. And she was so gracious and so lovely, and she let me take a selfie with her and be a silly fangirl. And but I really feel like, you know, kind of on Mother's Day, wow, I had no idea that I was going to cry.
It's the garlic.
It's the garlic and the onions, right? You know, my mom taught me how to cook, and she was a really good cook. She was a really traditional cook who always turned out very tasty food. But Mollie was kind of my second mother in the kitchen, and so I just want to raise a tribute to her and to thank her. You can follow her, MollieKatzen.com. She has a beautiful Instagram account where she's sharing some of her artwork. She's still drawing and painting, and she's an absolutely lovely person. So I'm so grateful that I met her once and kind of am friends with her on Facebook. But I also just want to thank her for such a gift. So
Thanks, Mollie.
thanks, Mollie. Follow me, Stephanie Weaver, S. Weaver MPH, and share this video if you think your friends would enjoy it. Happy Mother's Day. Bye.